Hello everyone and welcome to week 3 of Silent Night. This is a bonus video that I'm doing today, and it is going to be not following exactly the instructions that are on here. We are going to do the easy sew method. So if you want to do the full turned method, you can follow along in the original video and on the instructions on here. The easy sew method is written right on the panel, and I'm going to work with you through it here today. So felt is so fun for these reasons, is that you can take it as far along the process as you want, or have it super simple and do it with children even as you're working. So we're only going to focus on the bag, the dolls, and all the other elements stay the same no matter what. Okay, so you require no stabilizer for the easy sew method. You require nothing but what you see here. So I've cut out all the pieces on the secondary cut line, but that line is used when we are turning, if you're going to turn the pocket for finished edges. Because we are not doing that, we are going to, this is the easy sew method and felt doesn't fray, we're going to line up our ruler exactly where we want it for no turn. So I'm going to line up these two sides and slice this off. Look at that. And then I'm going to turn it and line up these two sides. And there you have it. So then I'm going to match that exactly here. I'm going to go through that in a second to make the pocket on there. But first, you're going to just go back. So I just want to show you that I cut everything out on the double line, but I'm going to go and recut it now for the easy sew method. So I'm going to take my handles, which are right here, and I am not going to do a turning process with them. So I am going to cut them right on the midnight line. So cutting both the turning seam allowances, the quarter and the half, off. There we go. Then I will, just as it says in the panel instructions, I'm going to fold it not in half this way to turn it. I am going to fold it in half this way, pin it, and I'm going to go to my machine and sew some lines on it, just like this. So I'm going to do that to both of these, and I'll be right back. So I'm back. I sewed 1/4 inch seams all the way down in matching thread color on both sides, so I did not turn it. And I left a 1/4 inch here, but I don't want it that big, but I did it on purpose. I'm going to want it about 1/8 of an inch because I want to cut it so I make sure that it's just super clean. You can leave it at a 1/4 inch if you want. I just want it nice and tight to my seam allowance there. I just cut that off, and now that I have, besides, no matter how I folded it, it's nice and straight and felt doesn't fray. So that is one handle, easy as that. Here's the second handle. And we're just going to set those aside. So we have our two handles ready to go, and they're going to be set aside. Then we're going to take all of our pockets, just as I showed you here, and we are going to cut both seam allowances off of them, and we're going to align them up where we want them. So I'll do that to this one as well. Good. So cut those off. So fast, so fun. Children can do this. Or you can make lots of these bags in this way. We're going to line that up. Good. So we have a pocket here. So we have a pocket here, and we're going to have one over here. So all we're going to do is back stitch over here and stitch around in that matching color here. And same thing again, back stitch, stitch around, and here to make those pockets. Then the front is done. We're going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to cut. Right now I can leave the bottom on here, but we'll trim it all when it's all together. But I'm going to cut the top of this off. It's going to go on top of here. And the reason why it doesn't have its camels, so that right now the camels are inside, and then you can actually use this. Right now the camels are inside, and you can actually use this as a play mat as well. So we're going to cut just the top brown off together like this. There we go. Then we'll line this up right on top as is. All right, and I'm just going to baste it in the brown here, and then also give it a stitch down over here. So that's all we want. Actually, I think I'm going to do it just a tiny bit inside because I want to trim it afterwards. But I'm going to wait to trim it until it's in the book here. But so just right on that line would be great, all the way around, just to secure it. You're going to end up trimming that stitch off eventually, and this stitch will stay. So make sure that this one's in a matching color. We'll learn how to assemble that in a second. So we're going to go to the sewing machine next and sew on these two pockets. I'll be back. All right, so as you can see, I switched to a matching thread color just for the center line here, but kept, this one will get trimmed off since it's in the seam allowance. I just kept this one in my darker thread. So I did it right in the seam allowance between the two seam allowances, the 1/4 and the 1/2, and that will get trimmed off. This is just sewn right on that little tiny, there's a tiny little line. If you can see it there, faint line right in the center where the book will fold. And this one I've aligned right here. So it's just sewn. So that pocket is done. I'm just going to clip my threads. And then the same thing here. There's a pocket at the back. All right. So now that we have this pocket, so you're going to see that this is going to go on this way. And the flap, the extra flap, that's going to cover over the book is on this side. So make sure you check that. Then you're going to place this on top. So you make sure you have the flap. See how the flap is on the right side. And this is your flap is going to go on this side. So we sew this afterwards so that we catch all of this. So I'm going to pin these seam allowances. I'm going to sew it right along here. And then we're going to end up with this flap with the pocket embedded inside. So that's pretty much your only hidden seam. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to get this bag together. It's going to come together really quick. I can't wait to show you. I did want to mention one helpful hint about lining this up so well is that I took this just to a window or a light box, and I just drew a little, you can see a really faint line right on the navy and first a seam allowance. Then I can go in with my pins and pin that exactly, and I have a guide on how to sew. So that is what I'm going to do, and I'll be right back. All right, so we've sewn it right along that line. And as you can see, it's folded nicely here, and it's ready to go. And we have the flap on one side and the matching flap here on the same side. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did and pin all the way along and line up. So I'm going to go through the navy corner with my pin, hit the other navy corner and line it up. So I'm going to line up the entire bag all the way around. And before I get to the top, so I'm going to go and pin it right now. And before I get to the top, I'm going to show you how to insert the handles so that they are there. Okay, so I'll just show you a few pins. I'm going to put it right through the navy, find the navy on the other side, and make sure I get it in and put in. So pins are your friends. I'm going to do lots like this. You could cut the brown off right now at this point And so if you want to make this easier for children, I would just slice the brown off at this point, then they could sew it together. But I'm going to show you a way to trim it at the end that will really leave all your edges super finished. So you can do it, either trim it now and then pin it, or if you want to follow along with me, or you can follow along with me. And this is just a slightly different way to do it, with just trimming at the end, just so we have nice even stitches. Even if you trimmed it now before you sewed it together, you could still do another trim at the end. Just keep your seam allowance nice and tight. We are going to be sewing on the part that we need to keep. So we're going to be sewing on the sand, on the sky, the midnight sky. We're going to be sewing 1/8 of an inch in. So it's really important that we get this lined up well, unless you've trimmed it already. If you've trimmed it already, you don't even need to worry, because you'll be able to see. So I just want to get a lot of pins in here, all the way around. Good. Make sure I get one in the center. Okay. I'll probably do a couple more here before I take it to the machine. But I want to show you the handles here too, because it's part of it. We're going to trim. We're going to trim this to put the handles in here. But before we do that, we're going to just sew, starting up a little bit in and going all the way around. Let's sew all the way around to here, so it's nice and held. We can even do this seam here right now. So we'll do these seams around the edges and this seam, and come back and pause. We're going to trim, and then we're going to put our handles in. Here we go. All right, and we're back. So we have sewn around the edges. Just inside, you can see just inside, I'm going to trim that off 1/8 of an inch. It's come all the way through. I'm going to snip my threads first. I've left this part open here and here, but I have stitched down the middle, and I have stitched right in the ditch on the fold of my flap here of my book. So I'm going to take my ruler now. If you've trimmed in the previous step, then you can omit this step, or you can just straighten out your work. But if you didn't trim, then this is the time to trim. So right there, I'm going to make sure I'm not cutting my stitches. I want to leave my stitches. So just on the other side, 1/8 of an inch over, and trim that off. Look how beautiful that's getting already. Yay! Make sure my pins are all out. Sometimes I sew through pins. I know I shouldn't. I have a great machine. And here we go. And then just trim on this side as well. Perfect. So now we have the book. In the easy sew method, you're going to finish it off the same with clips according to video 3, but we're going to talk about the handles. We're almost done. So you're going to take the handles and you're going to measure so that you know that they're the same on both. I'm going to take the measurements of this bag to here, and I'm going to find my half. So it's 5/4. I'm going to put this at 3 and 6.5. So you can decide how wide you want your handles depending on the size of the child. Make sure that however deep you put them in there, that's how deep you put them. And I'm actually going to want the raw edge on the inside of the handle. So I'm going to have the raw edge on the inside on both handles. Look how cute that is. Oh my goodness, it's so fun. It's just coming together so easy in this method. Here we go, and we'll do the same measurements again. Actually, I'm going to flip my ruler because it's going to be good. And we'll do the same measurements. The raw edge goes on the inside. And right here, look at it coming together. And you guessed it, we're just going to do a straight stitch on the top. Now I do want to say any of the stitches that you are doing here, you can use decorative stitches. So you can use a decorative stitch when you are doing this around the pocket if you prefer, but this is the easiest way to sew this bag. Look how cute it is. It's pretty much ready to go. We're going to fold that over and look at that. It's ready to go. So have fun, sew along the top there, and I can't wait to see all of your bags showing up everywhere on social media. This has no stabilizer in it, but it is 2 pieces of felt, so it has some enough body here to hold your dolls in here. Nothing will fray. It is felt. It's ready to go. So I can't wait to see your felt panel Silent Night felt dolls this holiday season.